while we're doing this.
That's all right, dude. I do it too. See, this is the best part about it. So,
Gotta do is
folks,
move the mouse.
exactly. We got to keep the bosses happy, and I'm off today. So, folks,
There
this is one of the best things to come back to because y'all have missed it. I have missed it. It's in the new year. We're starting the trend off, and what better way to start this off with one of my guests, who's a longtime supporter, very good brother of mine and friend in Yukon Phil. And we were just talking backstage, and we're gonna start this off obviously by saying Happy New Year. Because,
Happy New Year, man.
I missed you guys. I missed you, Phil. I mean, I haven't had a chance to really be more active. And he was asking me it's been a minute. And I realized it has been because work and life and the holidays and, just watching the YouTube algorithm do its thing. So I guess let's start with what I was telling Phil backstage, because a lot of y'all have seen my Instagrams and some of y'all heard from other people that I have dropped a lot of toy lines, and I have. And the biggest one that people were surprised I dropped was Todd McFarlane.
Mm-hmm.
And Phil and I, he's like, I'm not surprised.
No,
and here's the reason why. I'm going to show this figure because this is the Mezco Aquaman from Justice League. Probably one of the coolest looking Mezcos I've had in a long time, right? Cool figure.
Yep.
I have him somewhere in the box behind me. The Aquaman that was released in the stealth suit, which was a Target exclusive, looked cool. Was that worth $25? No. Toddy Mac has slowly declining in his production, his just overall quality. Do I want to attribute it to the Hasbro buyout with the Page Puncher line? I don't think that's even a thing to that. I personally feel that, and I know you've been saying it for a while, Phil, you've seen his decline for months, and it's not changed. And I don't know. I feel like I finally just kind of hit a wall with him. Yep. Like what was it? The newest line that he just put out, that wave that he put out with Superman and Crypto. Dave and I talked about it the other day on the phone as I was driving, doing errands. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you took Bruce Wayne and put him with Ace from Batman Beyond? Because he has that whole animated line.
Right.
But Superman, which is a repacked figure, not a repaint or a resculpt. It is a straight repack, and all you did was put a non-articulated dog in there. And we laughed about it because Dave was like, why didn't they just take the Guardians figure, like the articulated dog one, and put a cape on it, paint it white, and make it Crypto? Yeah. Make it black and make it Ace. You have so many opportunities, and he just drops the ball. Yeah. And, I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm not paying, and your prices are spiking to now where your regular figures are $24.99, your deluxes are going to be almost $35, and then like your collector's edition figures are almost $50.
Right.
It's you're lowering quality to raising price, and there's no give. And just like you and I were talking, I said I think the trend has kind of shifted to be you either go vintage, high price point, or you go modern, like modern, Mezco, Mace, SH. I can't even think of any other major line.
I mean, that's the majority. Yeah.
The three biggies right there.
Yeah.
And and if you're looking at those, and you're saying, would you rather spend? Because I've seen your collection. I mean, you have some great pieces. I love I'm not saying I'm jealous of you. I think your collection, because I'm not a vintage collector, but I love the fact that I can look at your collection and say, damn, that looks dope. Like that Megatron. Having that Megatron is if I had to have my vintage, it would be a vintage Rodimus Prime like that.
There you go.
Because Rodimus is one of my favorite Transformers.
There you go.
And you get like something like that. That's a beautiful piece. I love what you got behind you. I love your Star Wars stuff, you know, and that's a nice, healthy mix of modern.
Right.
But you know, you and I both know that you can go the route of a vintage and end up running into a Mayfix or Essex Figuart price.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Well, it's especially so. I had this comment on one of my posts yesterday where it's like some guy was saying, because I asked the question, what in 2024, what's your focus? Is your focus more modern or is it vintage? Mine obviously is going to be vintage with some modern mixed in. Last year at this time, if I had told you that, I'd have probably been like, I doubt that's going to happen, but this year it's going to happen. But he kind of said the same thing you did, where it's like, okay, I like vintage, but they're really expensive, and that is sort of not true. It really, to me, there's levels of being a vintage collector. You can be one of those guys like Century TMC.
Oh yeah.
He wants it perfect. He wants mint. He wants to grade it. Ron likes to do that stuff. Me, I want the loose stuff. And I don't care if there's a couple little paint chips here, a couple little paint marks there. Maybe we're missing an accessory. Maybe we're doing something like that, right? No big deal. So if you have the mindset that Ron does, you're going to pay a lot. I mean, Ron pays a lot for his figures, and his figures look fantastic. They look great. I don't pay as much because I'm okay with them not being 100% perfect. I just did a video yesterday. I got a sewer layer play set from 1989. It's not perfect, but I paid $70 for it. I didn't pay 150 for it mint because I honestly don't care if it's mint. I just want to have it in good condition. It doesn't have to be mint condition. So that's kind of where I'm at on the spectrum. And to go back to what you said, is it more expensive? Well, I think it really just depends on what kind of vintage collector you want to be. Do you want to be like Ron and go for the high stuff, and that's totally cool, and man, it looks awesome, or do you want to go and get the loose stuff and try to complete the collection and that sort of thing? So I really think and the way prices are with modern, honestly, all the vintage stuff I've bought, it's been cheaper than modern.
Bad, is it? You look at it that like you can get like vintage Star Wars, for $10 cheaper than getting the newer stuff, which should look and be better, but it's not.
But it's not. And we've seen quality go down. Well, it's been for a long time now. I got some Black Series figures this year, and I'm like, holy crap, this looks like Power of the Force era. I mean, it's like, we look at the Balin skull and the Shin Hottie or however they're the same size. Hasbro didn't even take the time to notice that Balin's skull is like up here and Shin Hades like down here. So again, I talk about this so much. That's maybe why I'm losing subs. I talk about this too much, but it's the truth, So that's why I like mixing. Now it's gotten to the point where I collect vintage, but I like mixing in modern with it. And if I can get stuff on sale, we're golden. So Dre lost his hearing.
I think my battery on my headset, I didn't charge it. That's why.
You're good. I can hear you.
I apologize. No, because everybody was telling me that the mic was getting a little bit messed up. So I think it's because it hasn't charged. So I 100% agree with you. And I'm going to just hit some comments while we're talking here. Yeah. I see T3 says, depends on the type of vintage figures you want to collect. Retro Toy Biz, Marvel superheroes, Spider-Man stuff are some of the cheap. Most are expensive. Well, I'm going to agree with you, T3, and I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Some of the newer stuff, like I would say any of the retro Spider-Man figures, they seem to stay pretty much within that middle of the road to expensive, depending on how good you want the card. Now, if you go looking at like something like a Nightcrawler figure, which we just saw that they're releasing for X-Men 97 from Hasbro, they're re-releasing his figure in a repack, and then minus a couple of accessories. And then you notice if you were to look, because people were like myself, I was going to get a Nightcrawler figure, but I wasn't willing to pay $85 for a Marvel Legend. I can't do that out of the box. Even brand new in the box, he was almost $150. Now I could pay $20, which I did, and I will eventually when it comes out. I'll get that one. But it's ridiculous to see, and working in the job I do now, I just you start seeing the trend of prices skyrocketing, and there's not salary to meet it.
No,
And
not at all.
a lot of
Not at all.
people are trying to like. It's not even the matter of flippers anymore. It's not even the matter of scalping. It's just I think the retailers are finally realizing you have to meet the demand, and if you don't meet the demand, the old school market's going to flourish where you don't have
Right.
a trend.
Right.
Hence why we're starting to see re-releases, repaints,
Right.
resculpts, and the revitalization of that market. I mean, could you see that as somebody who's a vintage collector?
Oh
Do
yeah.
you see that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the turnoff. That's part of the turnoff. I'm tired of it in all aspects. McFarlane, Hasbro, Mattel's not so bad. I don't think. Maybe they're the least of the three.
I
But
think
when
they
it,
are.
yeah, I think they're probably the least. But I'm just tired of the re-releases. I'm tired of the same stuff over and over and over. And it's like it's just it hurts me as a collector on wanting to keep collecting. And I don't want to feel that way. I want to be excited about going to get to stuff. Hence where we go to the vintage because I get excited about that now. Like I've got a vintage toy show coming up in my area in a few weeks. I'm not going to buy anything from now until then because I'm going to save up and try to get some of the stuff that I need. So yeah, I think, I watch Mike the Hunter. Mike the Hunter, dude, guys, if you haven't seen Mike the Hunter,
Yeah,
shout out
he's
to him
great.
because he's freaking awesome. I was watching him, and he's right. The flooding of the market now is just so horrible. It's so bad. Like, you know, unless you're kind of this is your life, you can't keep up with everything. Like just let's take GI Joe Classified for instance. I gave it up because I couldn't keep up with it, and honestly, it doesn't have a lot of meaning to me. If it doesn't have meaning to me, I'm not doing it, and it's like that's just it. So I think what these toy companies are trying to do is they're just trying to flood the market. Let's just keep trying to beat each other out, but in the long run, it gets flooded so bad that we see what happened with Ross in the last 3 months. I mean, it's crazy what we saw with that. And, I got a lot of good figures I probably wouldn't have normally bought for really cheap. And that's kind of the reason I bought them. I wanted the 3 3/4 inch Star Wars and I'm seeing them everywhere. So I'm like, all right, well, $4 a figure. Hell yeah, let's do it. You know?
So let's talk about that because it's something you and I've always had interesting conversations about.
Mhm.
In the tenure of our friendship
Yeah.
is trends with YouTube.
Right.
And one of the things that grinds my gears, and Dave knows I've said it to him several times, and he laughs. And I I love you guys, but the Ross videos, it's like I could not. Every time I looked at my feed in the
Ross video.
car, at the store, at home, it's like, do you feel like that was just not just the algorithm? It's just every collector was running to those stores to grab what they could. And it's like, because you've said it even in your videos, where it's like, is it over? The
Yeah.
man collects. I saw it in his
Oh
video
man.
just recently. He's like, is the trend now dead? And I'm like, I think it's been dead since Ollie's earlier this year because it was from January till about maybe I would say at least April, maybe May. It was always let's run to Ollie's because
Right.
Fortnite classifieds and Marvel Legends.
Mhm.
Then we had a break in the summer, and then it was like right at the start of Christmas, we had the trend of, oh, I think it was like Disavowed Toys and a few other guys were like, hey, go to Ross's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I loved your videos because I loved that you found your lightsaber
Mhm.
because I love my lightsaber because I
Mhm.
bought mine. Mine I got at Disney, so I definitely spent a lot more money than you did.
Yeah,
So
you
I feel a little
did.
sad.
You did.
I feel a little bit sad by that, but I think it was cool because you're a parent,
Mhm.
and there's a project I'm working on with Colin that we're going to be putting out. So I would like to bring you on there as well because you're not just like you don't have the extra fundage, and you
Oh
got
no.
kids,
No.
so
No.
you got to think, and your kids collect. So in that regard, what is that for you? Do you feel like that Ross could be the better market for a dad collector or a
Oh yeah.
mom collector,
Oh
which
yeah.
is looking for the better deals for their kids and themselves, versus just the scalper or the collector that's looking just to grab the deals?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so I did a video about this. I think it's good for both. Never gonna include the scalper in that because scalpers are scumbags, and I'm never gonna include them in that. So
I
they can
agree.
just kind of go to hell. Sorry, but that's how I feel.
I agree with him, folks. I'm sorry. Scalpers are, listen, y'all try to up cost figures that cost $5 or $10.
Right,
You
right.
sell
You're
for
scalp.
$30. You're not
I
making
mean,
profit.
let's
You're
just be
robbing the market.
honest. Right. But as far as the videos go, I'm under the okay, so I'm just gonna be totally transparent. I was like 500 hours away from getting monetized, and I'm like, I don't give a damn if anybody likes the Ross videos or not. They're hot. I'm doing it. And sure enough, it got me there. So there you go. I think with YouTube too, I'm one that doesn't like to follow trends. I'm totally there with you, Dre. But if you have goals that you have for your channel and yourself, you got to kind of ride what's hot. You got to
Oh,
go
you
with the
do.
hot
You do.
hand, man. And that's just kind of the way it was with that whole thing. I mean, the biggest video I ever had is 7,000, and that was just a couple weeks ago at Ross. So it's like, you know, yeah, I did I like going to Ross all the damn time? No, but I know a whole lot of people who go to Ross a whole hell of a lot more than I do. So there you go. But I think to answer your question, it is good for people on a budget. I don't pay retail for toys anymore. I refuse. I won't do it. They're not worth what the asking price is. So that right there is one win when it comes to Ollie's and comes to Ross. Um, and as far as anybody getting new into collecting or the people buying toys for their kids, absolutely. It's great right now. It's a fantastic thing to do to get toys that are maybe a year old. I almost bought my daughter a Barbie doll that was a holiday edition. It was 2022. She wouldn't have known the difference. And it was like $20 when those things are like $80. So I think it's good. I pretty much got raked over the coals for asking if it was dead because a bunch of people were like, well, it's not Christmas, dumbass, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you know, I get that. But is this going to continue to happen? Is kind of what I was alluding to. Is like,
No, I agree. You're one of
are we going to see this again?
is this going to be like, okay, Ross is done, pause. Is Ollie's now going to start getting like all the crap that Target didn't sell, Walmart didn't sell, and are we going to see
Yeah.
that as the uprise?
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I feel like that's the trend, and Dave said it best. Trends don't always work for everybody. You're right.
It's
Because Dave,
true.
you and I talked
It's
about
true.
this plenty of times, and it is what it is.
Mhm.
You can follow the algorithm religiously,
Mhm.
and still nothing comes of it. And T3 says, did he say he's saying Ross is dead until Easter? I think
I mean,
Ross
it really depends where you're at. It really
exactly
depends where you're
because
at. If you talk like Tony, okay, Tony Star Wars Sith, he lives in Florida. He went to his Ross, he went to like 4 of them. He's still finding things. There's, I'm thinking T3. I don't know if T3 still found things or not. I'd have to ask him. But there's still people going out there and still hitting up the Ross and still doing the videos. And they're not finding anything new per se, but they're still finding the same stuff that we saw last month at this time or a few weeks before Christmas. So is it dead? It might be dead with new stuff, but some of the stuff that we saw in the past, I think it's still coming out. I think they haven't totally blown through their stock yet, and they're kind of still wheeling and dealing things out uh here and there. My area, it's dead.
oh yeah, mine's dead too.
Yeah.
But again, my area is riddled with scalpers, and there's only one Ross that's like within 30 minutes of my house, and I've never been to that one. I don't go to it. I mean, I watch Kent Pool; he goes there, and when I see with his channel, I'm like, I just message him. I'm like, is there anything good? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't go there anyway. I'm not going to drive 30 minutes. To me, it's a waste of gas. It's a waste of resources that I'm sorry are a commodity that I would rather invest in my family and invest in other things than just to go grab a $5 figure. Honestly, if I really want that figure that bad, I'll buy it off Amazon. A friend of mine will pick it up for me, or I'll buy it somewhere else. Whatever. It's there's other ways of getting it. Collecting with Cool says that his Ross is so understocked.
Yeah.
Closing.
Yeah, he was telling me on Facebook that he never saw what we saw. He never saw what happened in my videos or Chris's videos or Carlos's videos. There's certain areas that just got nothing. They just kind of got left in the cold, and I don't know why that would be, but like Carlos was like my Santa Claus this year. He got me tons of stuff. He found tons of stuff, and it's like, You know, look, he's saying it right now. Found 6 Cobra Viper 3 packs. I never saw one of those in my area. Not one time.
Hell, people found the Fortnite Snake Eyes in my area.
Yeah,
and I was like, that was a figure I was looking for, and I was like, I'm not paying $50 for him on Mercari,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And
Right.
like people were like, oh, well, if you're looking for it, I could try to grab it for you. And I just never followed up. I didn't care to follow it up because again, G.I. Joe with me kind of fell off. So I was like, I kind of wanted it just for the Fortnite aspect because my nephew who plays Fortnite, he's like 7. I figured he would have gone nuts for that.
Right.
You know, what was it? Dave said, looking at our t-shirts, he wants to see a Goku versus Vader. Hey, you
Vader
never
all
know.
the way, man. Vader all the way.
listen. I have a Goku SH Figure Arts. All I need is to get a Vader Mafex, and I'll put those two in a battle, and we'll figure it out.
There you go. Do one of those stop motion battles, and
I should
see how it turns out.
And then let's see.
Well, I think the best part. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
One last comment on Ross. I think the best part about Ross is it shows you patience on certain things pays off. I really, like I said, I've said it a few times now. I don't pay retail for figures anymore. They're not worth what they're asking and stuff. My patience in the one part of this life that I have has actually grown when it comes to collecting because I just am so tired of opening a figure that I paid $25 for and be like, this sucks. This is a piece of shit. Why did I buy this? When and this kind of what happened over Christmas and over Halloween and all that the whole time kind of reiterated that. It's like patience, patience is key in certain things. If you don't got to have it now, wait. That was another poll I did on my page the other day, and a lot of people agreed. I think it was like an 80-20 thing where people are like, I'm waiting for a clearance, I'm waiting for a sale, I'm waiting for a deal because
the FOMO, I think FOMO's gone. I would agree. I think FOMO is, if it's not the hot figure at the time, I think FOMO is pretty much, almost non-existent because where are you missing out? Because if you wait, now granted, I think you miss out when it's a store exclusive. I'll use a couple of examples. The Starro Wave that was McFarlane. That was a FOMO that people missed out on, and now those figures are ridiculously high priced on the aftermarket. I love the Starro figure. He's the only figure I kept because I love that Build-A-Figure. Another figure that we could take recently kind of hit that FOMO, CM Punk, the AEW Ultimate Edition. He, his the last of the Ultimate line was his figure, and I think Aleister Black. And now you can't. If you're lucky at a Walmart, you find it. If not, and that price spiked when he went to WWE. So like now people are complaining, are we going to see an Ultimate CM Punk?
Absolutely.
You probably will. Give it a year. Give it a year. You'll see it. Mattel's already probably got him in the back.
They already got the renders and everything.
They're probably doing the scan already. Like, let's get Phil Brooks because I'm not gonna lie, he's sitting right here. AEW.
Yes.
Keep him on my desk with MJF. And I think we've lost the FOMO. Like the 100%. I think unless, like I said, unless it's something like the figures that are being only released online, where you can't, or you get them through like a GameStop or a local comic shop.
And even then, the prices are jacked so damn high that it's like, that really triggers the thing in your head, like, oh my gosh, this Star Wars Black Series figure is $40 to $30 at GameStop because it's a GameStop exclusive. It makes you think, like, do I really need that? Do I need a 7th Darth Maul? No, I don't. I'm going to put that towards something else that I don't have. Maybe a character I don't have. Maybe, like you said, you're a huge proponent, and you and I have talked about this many times. You're a huge proponent for Mafex, SH Figure Arts, Bandai stuff. And
really,
man,
really,
just a little. We Transformers Masterpiece. We've talked about this.
Oh, yeah, we will. Masterpiece Transformers. Hell yes, I will. 3-0.
3-0 is
right
phenomenal.
now is the company, and I'm telling you. I knew when I said this to you, you would agree with me. As a Transformers fan, if you are into Transformers right now and you don't want to buy Masterpiece, buy 3-0.
3-0 is
they are, I'm going to, pardon my French YouTube, they are fucking killing it.
They are.
They are
Also,
killer.
YOLO Park. I don't know if you know about YOLO Park, but
I've heard of them.
if you're okay with non-transforming Transformers and you're just about the character design and good detail, these things are like $35. They're pseudo model kits, but they're not nearly as difficult. I mean, my 6-year-old could put it together. That's how easy it is.
Have you not seen
The
the Fudai? The Fudai ones? They're pretty good. The ones that
Oh yeah.
because those
Yeah.
are about the
Those are
same
good too.
price as that. Like the
Yeah,
YOLO, because what I've seen, they're about like
$35, man.
$35 to $30.
Right, right. And you go and you get a Voyager class from Hasbro. It's 35, and I mean the size difference is huge. These yellow parks are 8 inches plus, and it's like there's just so many other options, and you just kind of have to pick and choose, you know. So mainstream is really kind of taking a hit nowadays, I think.
Oh,
And it's
I
like
see. That's what we were talking about. From people that just came in now and missed what we were saying about 20 minutes ago.
Mhm.
When we look at the vintage market being expensive, and I'm not saying expensive in a bad way, it's just kind of where the trend has shifted for collecting versus where modern has stayed, and modern's ridiculously overpriced.
Mhm.
To where you look at the big companies, I do have to say I should have done this. Poo poo Andre for not saying this. 3-0 needs to be in that talk when you're
Agreed.
looking at not Sideshow, not Hot Toys. As much as I love them, they're good, but they've always been like the high end toy.
That's your super
That's your
high end
top of the
collector,
line
right?
right
Right.
there.
Right.
You know, and then when you look at like, oh, well, if I don't want a hot toy, but I want like a 1/12 scale, you get Mesco.
Right.
You're paying like a quarter of the price, and you're still getting a figure that's very well detailed. You know, then you look at like Mafex. Oh, well, it's a little bit about the same as a Mesco, but it's all plastic. You know, no, and very sometimes limited cloth goods. You know, and then you look at SH Figure Arts, no cloth goods, but lots of cool accessories and faceplates. You know, and each one that I'm going through, as you notice, there's still a lot you're getting for your price point,
Yes, absolutely.
but you're getting quality versus you're getting quality and quantity over I'm going to use this because she's on my desk, a lightning collection.
Oh yeah, which is
So
dead,
like,
by the way.
you
They
know,
killed off that line.
and you know, this is and again, Legacy of Nerd, you can always check him out. LeBron Fett, they give you
Mhm.
the news on this sort of stuff. I'm a Common Writer guy, and I'm sad to see that these figures are, you know, done for now, but you know, maybe, you know, if they're smart, Hasbro, you know, and Disney will figure something out, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Rex, I see you in here. I see the
What's up,
3-0
Rex?
Green Ranger is one of my favorite pieces. Oh yeah, it's a
Yeah,
beautiful piece. It's
yeah.
sad that it's so expensive as it is. And then we got T3 saying you're going to see more and more fan channel releases from Hasbro because nothing's really selling. Yeah, I mean, I already heard that from my comic shop guy. He, the owner of the store I go to, he was saying that he's even seeing less and less from his distributor because
Yeah.
the distributors are not even ordering things in bulk anymore.
No,
There's no reason to.
why would they?
Like,
They know it's gonna just be on clearance. It's like, you
exactly.
know,
He's like,
they're losing money. I
he was,
mean,
what was it? The newest, what's the new build of figures? The Void. It's the Namor, which looks terrible. Black Panther, which looks okay. The Namorita, which I want, and the Crystar. Those are the only two figures from that entire wave I want. And I was like, I'll never see this retail. I was like, I pre-ordered the entire wave, then I canceled it. I was like, I'll just, you know, Big Bad Toys will put this up for like $60 for the whole wave,
Yep.
and then maybe I'll buy it then.
Yep.
But it's not worth it anymore. It's just not worth
no,
investing
no.
the money to do this because it's just we've seen it. We've
Well,
seen it at loss.
the other thing that it kills a lot is toy hunting itself. You know, I mean, you don't really make a lot of toy hunting videos yourself, but I do. And so does Carlos, and so does Chris, and so does, you know, a lot of other guys. And
Colin,
it's like,
every single one of my friends I know does toy hunting is seeing the trend. And I was about to ask you that. Do you think that this might be the year we see toy hunting videos kind of almost get phased slightly out because of the fact that we're seeing more and more stuff get pushed to online? I mean, GameStops are closing left and right.
mhm.
Best Buys are closing left and right.
Yep.
You have Target and Walmart, and those are drier than the Sahara. You
Yeah.
know, your local comic shops might get a bigger boost in toy hunts because why not? FYEs are ridiculously overpriced.
Oh yeah, insane.
So, what's left? We haven't had Toys R Us's come back.
Yeah.
So do you believe that the toy hunting that we've seen the last maybe since COVID to now, do you think that that's going to be the trend that's going to go away this year?
So I asked myself the same question in 2020 with COVID because things were so bad and I wasn't on YouTube, but I was still going out and I'm like, holy crap, everything's empty. And it kind of feels like it's the same storm. It feels like, we have seen multiple years now of just ridiculous clearances with Target and all the others that we talked about. And it's like eventually it's going to happen. Eventually it's going to get to the point where toy hunting is just not a thing. I mean, I've thought about doing an online toy hunt and putting it up as a video on my channel because it's like, why not? I kind of think that's where we're going. One thing that I definitely want to focus on more this year, and it's tough because of the area I'm in, is just being more creative with the toy hunts, going to these comic stores, these toy stores. But that can be difficult when you only have about 3 or 4 good ones in your area and you're doing it every single week and people are like, well, this guy sucks. And the other thing is too, with toy hunting, one thing you have to know when you're getting to it, people want to see Target and Walmart all the time. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. That's what they want to see. They want to compare notes on what they're seeing and what you're seeing based on where they're at in the country. So I think until it takes a really major hit and we're not seeing anything on the shelves at all, it's still going to be a thing. But if we get to the point where it was in 2020 with COVID, I mean, there's a good chance it could die out. And there's just so many freaking toy hunters. No offense to you all, but there's so many toy hunters nowadays.
It's
oversaturated. It's oversaturated.
It really is.
I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, holy crap! I feel like I'm one of the veterans now, and I've only been on the scene for a couple of years. And it's just like every time I go into YouTube, there's a new guy. There's a new guy. There's a new guy. And it's like,
look at how many guys have left. Josh Pence.
Yes. Yes, but I still don't think it's as many as that are coming on. I think it seems like a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 ratio of people that are coming on as opposed to people that are leaving. So the competition's there, and it's like, again, you really need to make your channel about having fun with it because you're not gonna beat everybody out. You're not, it shouldn't be a competition anyway. But that was a long answer. But my short answer is I think it's a possibility that we will see a good hit this year on the toy hunting, on the availability of products at retail stores. And I just don't know if people are going to ever get tired of seeing Target, Walmart, Ollie's, and Ross. I just don't think they are. I think that's one thing that you need to reserve yourself to and be like, I have to do this if I'm going to be a toy hunter.
In there GameStop till GameStop's gone.
Right.
Right. GameStop, and I agree with you. I think that trend is going to still be there. It's going to still be existing.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I've seen this year and just kind of noticing across the different trends, because like Ron just posted on IG this morning, what was it? He went to Book Off. Now, for those of you that don't know, Book Off is a Japanese like reseller of like old like vintage stuff and like comics and stuff. And they're a lot in New York and they're in California, and obviously in Japan. And Ron went to one in Manhattan because he works in the city. So he found a bunch of like vintage stuff there. So, I see that maybe spots like that where you can go to like maybe like an antique store, or I know that toy hunters like OG Geek who's now pretty much retired.
Yeah, he's giving it up pretty much. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, he's done. You see guys like him that's where they used to go. They would go to those kind of like run of the mill haunts. Seth went to, what was it, when he went to Universal this past summer?
Oh, yeah.
Toy hunted at Universal.
Yep.
I think the trend is going to be less and less that, and it's going to be these out of the box weird spots that people are going to start finding. And I think that might be the trend for a little bit. And then it's going to go back to because like T3 said, that wave, the Void Wave, is a fan channel, which is exclusive to Hasbro, right. Which again is GameStop, local comic shops, and specialty shops.
Yep.
What they call specialty, like card stores and stuff like that. So It's interesting. It's interesting to see that trend, and I'm sad because we all kind of met in that community,
It's true.
and and like you said, when you're now feeling you're the veteran because the guys like Josh, Cincy, you know, Narc,
Yeah.
they're done. Like they're like, oh well, they went kind of their way. It's interesting.
That's a good point that you brought up though earlier with Ron and Narc. I interviewed Narc on
I know.
Next
I
with
see. Look,
Yukon a few years back.
I have big brain things. I know
I
what
said,
you do. I pay attention.
but good point, because Ron has pretty much made his channel into a vintage channel now. When is the last time you saw a Century TMC video go through Walmart and Target? It's been a minute. It's
Been a
been a
year.
minute, man. It's
Been a
been a
year.
while. Same with Narc.
Actually, before he got married was the last time I remember him doing a Walmart and Target run.
That's close to a year ago.
Yeah.
Same with Narc. I was talking to Craig a couple months ago. Craig doesn't buy hardly any modern at all. He hits up all the places. He lives in Texas, so he's got a good advantage there. But he's another guy. You won't see a Target Walmart hunt out of him, and he's really kind of solidified, what he wants to do with his channel and where he wants to go with it. So I'll retract my statement earlier when I said you have to do Walmart and Target. You can kind of just do the vintage thing and kind of go for the retro thing. But I think you have to be blessed with living in a good location for that. For me, I live in freaking Oklahoma. That's not really an option to go straight vintage toy hunts and straight vintage, retro toy hunts. So I really have to kind of mix and match with that thing. So I really think it's, and I don't want to limit myself to only being a vintage toy hunter and saying the hell with modern. I think that's not a good idea for me personally. So
No, and I think that for you, you've always one of the things I prided you on has been your love of mixing the two mediums.
mm,
Like you've never stopped loving your Star Wars modern.
right.
But you love your Star Wars vintage, like Transformers. You were like, yeah, you were still picking up modern Transformers, but you were like, man, my vintage is where my heart is.
Exactly.
And you can see that love, you can see the passion. And like, I think Stan Lee, I posted something in the group chat that Stan Lee said that when you're passionate about something and you love doing it, it doesn't feel like work. It's because you love doing it. And that's what makes it feel good. And like Dave says here, like, when all you see is Ross videos, it does get tired. No one's listen, Dave, I could give two diddly shits what people think about me, and I don't really care. And Phil, you've known me a long time now.
Oh yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
And yeah, the trend was ride the coattails of Ross, and the thing is, we saw that with Ollie's, we saw it with Ross, we've seen it with I'll even go the route of saying it, Mythic Legions, we've seen it with we saw it with Valaverse when Valaverse was before they had their controversy from Joe Fest last year. For those of you that don't know, the CEO of Valaverse and one of his top creators who used to work for Hasbro was at Atlanta's Joe Fest and got into an argument with a content creator, and that caused basically their whole company to tank. Like that vehicle that was their bread and butter to get like people into saying you can make $150 vehicle and it not be ridiculously overpriced and hard to ship. And they've now Valaverse is pretty much like non-existent.
Yeah.
Then
that's sad because that's a good line.
It is.
That's a really good line. I mean, if you want an alternative, I mean, I don't know if you really need an alternative to classified, but if you want one, that was a great line to get it into, and you could kind of expand your Joe collection with that. So I actually didn't know about that. Did they get into? Was it over the Humvee? Did they get into it over the Humvee?
No, it wasn't over the Humvee. So it was this guy. I don't know how his video got suggested to me. It just showed up on my wall one day of like on YouTube, and I watched it, and it made me go down the rabbit hole. So this G.I. Joe content creator that lives in, I want to say out in the Midwest, went to Joe Fest, and he's a diehard like collector of Joes and like vintage toys. and he went to Joe Fest with a bunch of other people, and he made like a T-shirt, and he was making fun of Valaverse because supposedly one of the guys on Valaverse worked for the Australian military, was actually in the Australian military, and he's like one of the top like brass within Valaverse. It like blew up in an argument at the hotel, and there was drinking involved, and like circles of other content creators got around, and it got on YouTube. Police were called.
Jeez.
And it blew up. And basically, Joe Fest, a few weeks later, announced that they had cut ties with Valaverse. A few weeks after that, other major conventions cut their ties. Ohio, the big one, the big Toy Fest in Ohio, the big Toy Fest in New York, big ones in Florida, all severed their ties with them. And then I noticed Big Bad Toys, which used to have big splashes for Valaverse, started pulling all of them. And it wasn't until I think about a week or so ago that I was on Big Bad Toys website and I saw that they put like the Arctic Wave on clearance. And I was like, huh. And I was like, they still have pre-orders for a lot of their stuff, but that vehicle is like nowhere to be seen. And I know they've gotten a lot of negative press. So
that's ridiculous.
I mean, it's bad. It's
Well,
when I saw that, I was like, wow. Let me address something T3 said here. He says, "You think we have it bad? Look at the physical media Blu-ray hunters." Oh my God, T3, you are correct.
That's true. They're screwed.
I am. I'm not gonna lie. I am a Blu-ray lover of my movies. I love physical media, and now with everybody, I mean, FYE was too overpriced anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's literally look at used pawn. You go to pawn shops, resale shops, and you might find stuff. I mean, you're right. Even with that dying, video games. There's a bunch of video game resellers that are going through the same thing that we're going through because video games are now making that trend to now all digital. And when you go all digital, it's, I feel like it's almost like that whole NFTs thing that Funko tried to do when they were like, hey, let's make NFTs that you could just have the digital version of this figure. I was like, how the hell does that?
The hell wants that?
Like,
I mean, come
wow,
on.
look at this! I have this pixelated version of a 1/100th figure.
Got a bunch of holograms up behind me. What the hell do I want?
I know, like, look, Mom, look. I'm like,
no. Well, he's absolutely right there. That's the scary. To me, it's a scary thing. It's not really anything more because the way the world's going, not just in our world, but with everything else. Everything physical is kind of going away, like what you just said, right? And it's like, again, that's part of what we didn't talk about when we said if toy hunting's dead or not. I mean, who knows? With AI and all that crap, they could be trying to sell us AI figures and everything else. And it's like, there was a point. What Dave just said is absolutely right on too, because vinyl was coming back. I go in Walmart, I can find vinyl like crazy. It's all there. But when you hear the Best Buy, which Blu-ray and DVDs were there. I mean, that was their thing. CDs, cassettes. I mean, I grew up on cassettes, so and it's like to see all that going away for something that, I mean, the great could go down any day, man. We don't know, and then everything's gone. So I think
somebody has kids. I gotta ask you a question when you finish your thought.
No, go ahead. No, you're good.
So as someone who has kids, physical media is what saves us because if the power goes out, but the internet goes out and their tablets go dead and they don't have internet, man, you can stick that old Blu-ray in there and there's the movie. Yes. You ain't got to worry about Disney Plus or Hulu or Netflix. No, I got it for you. So
I got a ton of their movies. I mean, right here next to me, all on my entertainment center. Got a ton of their movies.
Right here.
Probably need to go buy more because they're like $5 at Walmart. Need to go buy more in case that ever does happen. And it's like, I even have a portable DVD player that takes batteries for those kinds of situations, where it's like, okay, we can do this. I have a generator in my house in case the power ever goes out. I ain't going to rely on the friggin' government and all this crap for that. I'm not that stupid.
I'm with you on that, dude. That's things I never thought at 45 I would ever own. Media like this and a generator. My wife and I are actually looking at generators now because it's something we had never thought about, but we were like, man, our power's gone out a couple of times because we live out in the country now. We're in the suburbs bordering the country. And I'm like, we're not on the city grid. like we used to be. So, it's something that I'm like, we may need to consider.
Yeah.
But I will say this, do I think it'll ever come back? I mean, as I look at my shelf full of D&D books, I mean, I still crave paper and book in my hand. I mean, like, I'm gonna grab a stack of comic books because
Yeah.
I like paper.
Right.
It's not that I collect paper. I like having this to read.
Yeah.
Because my kids read it. And I can give this to my wife's students and they can read it. I don't care about the value. The value to me is immeasurable because this equates in reading.
Exactly. Exactly.
Music. You can't forsake music because guess what? Vinyl is gonna sound way better than a CD ever will. I mean, I'm that old. I've heard vinyl.
Exactly. Well, I think that's where the disconnect is too. So you've got 2 or 3 generations that are growing up in so many different ways. You and I are 80s kids, Carlos, Dave, all these guys. And it's like we're used to this. We're used to not having the friggin' internet. I didn't have the internet till I was out of high school. I didn't need it to write term papers. I didn't need it to do any of that kind of stuff. If it ever went down and I needed to go back to that, hey, no problem. The part I'd miss the most is
Give me encyclopedia.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote papers out of textbooks and things like that. I didn't have the friggin' internet to do any of that. But I think that's the problem is the new generation is so reliant on these little things that they would freak. I mean, I think if you throw a few millennials in a room with no technology, boy, that'd be a good social experiment. I don't think it would go very well, to be honest with you. And tying it all in a bow and kind of wrapping it up, it's like I hate to see it go because it just kind of takes us further away from what we knew, from what we grew up with, and that sort of thing. And that makes me sad. That makes me sad because I worked in Walmart. I dealt with electronics. I dealt with the books and the CDs and the cassettes and the VHS and all that jazz. And it's like it makes me sad to see everything go away. And the last thing I want to see is the toys follow suit with that. That would be really bad, because it's just part of life.
I hate
sort
to
of
say
happening. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because the more I've looked in a Target, the more I'm seeing the trend away from seeing the toys being restocked.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have, and like you said, in this economy, people are stealing more.
Oh yeah.
Say it. You're seeing a higher theft. So you're now seeing toys being put out by distributors. And if the distributor doesn't come weekly to fill in, or they make deals with employees and the employees know what to sell, there's so many things that we've seen the trends against. People are like, well, screw it, I'm going to go to the comic shop, or screw it, I'll go directly to Hasbro or directly to NECA.
Exactly.
It's almost like there's a move away from the big box retail back to just saying screw the, like, that's why I said I feel like toy hunting is almost like going to be going the way of the dinosaur soon. Because I get my stuff through imports. I can't. If I lived in Japan, different story.
You'd be set. Yeah.
I'd be set, but I don't. So to me, and like you said, I've done maybe 3 toy hunt videos in the almost 10 years I've been on YouTube, and I see where you guys are struggling now to find content versus someone like me that rather do reviews.
Yeah.
I'd rather review my toy, break it down and look at it than go to the store, because I know some stores aren't going to carry the stuff. Barnes and Nobles, maybe my local comic shop, definitely, but there's less and less of like the newer stores to get toys. And I'm seeing more and more vintage stores open up, but even they go by the way of the dinosaur, because if they can't make money, because they're looking to try to turn a profit on, like they're trying to sell that Unicron HasLab for like $1,000.
Exactly.
And that ain't gonna happen, because guess what? In an economy where people are struggling, no one's gonna go and say, I need to have that piece of plastic.
No, absolutely not. No. And that's the way it was in 2020. It's like people were just like, oh, I don't need to, the world's coming to a freaking halt here. The last thing I need is toys. I remember I sold more toys in 2020 than I bought, and it's just the way it is. And, it's like you had a good point there. during Christmas at my Walmart, you know how it is, about the day or two before Christmas, the toy aisle's crushed. There's nothing. Mine look exactly the same from December 1st to January 1st. Hardly sold anything. Prices are too high. Kids don't want that stuff now. My kids are different because I've raised my kids to go for this. Their electronics are very minuscule. I don't put they'll play on the phone every once in a while, watch TV. They don't have tablets or anything like that. I've kind of said no to that because I didn't have it. If I didn't have it, you don't get it. That's kind of the mentality. So, but they wanted toys. My son wanted vintage Ghostbusters for
Nice.
Christmas. My daughter wanted costumes, a Mulan costume. She wanted Monopoly, for God's sakes. I mean,
Nice.
so that's kind of where I'm at and where my family's at, is that we, honestly, the one who's probably the worst with electronics is me, because I have a YouTube channel, because I have friends on here and I talk to people and I put on videos and edit videos. But I'm probably the worst one at this whole technology thing. But I think that's the thing that we really need to try to get back to, just not as parents, but as a society. Go freaking play outside for a while. When I was a kid, I played football and baseball until my
Dude, my
freaking
toys
fingers
used to
bled.
have mud on them because I'd
Mhm.
play with them outside.
Yep.
Like there was this desire to go. Like my daughter, Lana, you've seen her walking
Yeah,
around. She's
yeah.
home from school till tomorrow. So we bought her. My mother-in-law bought her a iPod Touch.
Yeah.
So she is now, and she's reading manga. Like she's actually reading my paper manga.
Right.
So I'm happy. So she has the tech. Doesn't love it, but she has it.
Mhm.
Versus Rory, who's now going to be 4 this coming year. This year, Jesus Christ, she's going to be 4. Holy crap, the time has gone by. And she, like, my mother-in-law bought her a Cabbage Patch doll. Something that we all had when we were kids.
Exactly.
Boy or girl, you had a Cabbage Patch Kid. And it's interesting to see how Rory plays with her figures, because she reminds me a lot like how I was. She would take her Bluey. She got into Bluey. We got her a little house, the beach house. Loved it. Kid loved it. Plays with it every day.
Yeah.
And to me, I remember when my dad and my mom bought me the what was it? The Rolling Thunder, the GI Joe Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
I remember we had that bad boy in the basement, and my friends would come over and play with it. When I had the space station with the 2 space shuttles.
Oh yeah.
I remember having Metroplex on the floor, and there's so many things I remember. And then taking those toys outside, because who cared if they got dirty? You were playing outside.
Exactly.
Man, it's like Optimus Prime doesn't stay in the house. Optimus Prime likes to go outside.
Right. He's in the dirt.
Exactly. The turtles, they come in the sewer. They're supposed to be dirty.
That's right.
That's
right.
So I remember a lot of doing that, and I feel like you're right. As a dad, as an uncle, I want to see my nieces, my nephews, my kids enjoy more of that. Now, I got 2 teens that are kind of not in that realm of wanting to. They rather stay inside and play video games, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the 3-year-old, I love that she gets dirty Play-Doh in her hair.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, to me, I'm like, you're right where I need you to be. Like,
exactly.
I don't need you to be all up on the tablets and the computer. You can watch the stuff, but she still likes to have a little book in front of her, like her little board books. She likes to play with her toys. She plays with her dolls. It's and action figures, because guess what? I am that dad that introduced action figures.
Hey.
Folks, I'll hate on the dads that do it.
No, man.
You're a dad.
That's good stuff right there. Yes.
Because I'm tired of this. Oh, boys getting up. Get your kid what they like. If they like Spider-Man, you buy him a damn Spider-Man.
There you go.
Because that's what I did. I know that, like, Rory loves Spider-Man, so go figure. Because Daddy loves his Spider-Man.
There you go. They gravitate. They gravitate to what you like. I've really noticed that.
And you know that.
Oh yeah.
So,
and it's more than you even would imagine. You're sitting there. I have to kick my son out of my loft because he'll sit there and he'll just stare at him. And I'm like, dude, you need to go downstairs and do something else. You can't just sit here and stare at him. You gotta go. You've got yours. Go play with them. Don't just stare at them. So But I really think that it's kind of what Carlos says. I want Blockbuster to come back so I can rent video
I
games to see
do.
if I want to buy. I mean, I remember doing that. I remember, I didn't want to buy a PlayStation 2, so I went and rented a PlayStation 2 to see if it was worth it, and it
Dude, I
wasn't worth it.
remember
So I
that.
didn't.
Y'all don't realize that you could have gone to like Blockbuster
Mm.
uh or any other video places to rent like Super Nintendo for like
Oh yeah.
$10.
Oh yeah. Yep. And
You
you
get
better
to
get
rent
your ass there quick on a Friday night because everybody else has the same idea.
exactly, man. And I remember those days, man. I long for those days. Carlos,
I
open it
totally
up,
agree.
bro. Listen, you got monetized now. Take some of that YouTube money that you're making, bitch, and make
YouTube
it happen
money.
for us.
He's a funny guy. YouTube money. Shit. Ain't none of that. There ain't none of that. I
Hey,
mean,
no, I'm just saying. I would love to see a collective of YouTubers get together and do something like that, man. Just
I
like
agree. That's a great idea, man.
bring it back
Yeah.
because I long for those days of like going to a Blockbuster and like walking in and seeing the anime section. That's what I
Oh, yeah.
remember when I knew I was like a teenager and it was like, oh wow, or going to see the latest movie like when something just came out on VHS, and I was like, I could go watch this now.
Right. Right.
So I
Yeah.
long for those days. So let
Yeah.
me, okay, Phil, because I gotta ask, what what do you got coming down the pipe now? Because like I said, I do have a project I'm gonna talk about after you talk about your stuff. But what do you got coming out this week? What's some of the big things we got to be looking out on your channel for?
I have no idea.
I love it. I love it.
So I'm kind of in that weird spot now. So like I got monetized in December. Thank you, Ross, by the way. But now
Awesome.
it's like I'm kind of in that spot where it's like I'm kind of getting in that weird lull where I'm like, I want to slow down a little bit because I pushed pretty hard from October to December,
You
got more
did.
on a schedule and that sort of thing. And now it's like, you get bored doing the same stuff. You get bored doing reviews, you get bored doing toy hunts, you get bored doing the one thing that's not boring is stuff like this, the talks and the lives. That never gets boring. That's the best part. But it's probably going to be business as usual. Yakking with Yukon is going to keep going. I've got the man collects on Sunday, so that'll be really good. He's doing a phenomenal job. Chris is the man, and he's doing a great job. So we'll talk to him again. And then also got John from Collecting Havoc and Sire Speed reviews will be on later in the month as well. So definitely going to keep Yakking with Yukon going. I've been at 3 videos a week for the last 3 months, and honestly, I'm running out of ideas. So I don't know how much longer that's going to go. But I think it's really just business as usual, kind of trying to maintain. I don't have any really lofty goals or anything like that. I'm right where I wanted to be. I wanted to be monetized by the end of the year. We got there a little bit before, so I'm actually good now. I'm not trying to make money. It's a damn good thing I'm not because you don't make a lot of money. So I think I'm pretty content right now just doing this and just sharing new stuff and doing a toy hunt every once in a while and that sort of thing. But in terms of giving you a really big goal or a really big thing that I got planned, I honestly don't have anything, man. So it's business as usual, really.
And I'm gonna address T3's before I address you. I want to address
Yeah.
T3's comment because I think it's an interesting question to ask. Um, Bringing back video rentals,
No,
would they be profitable?
no,
To be honest, depending on where you put it, I think if you were to
exactly.
put it in like a larger city like New York, Miami, Orlando, LA, Sacramento, Houston, Dallas, Chicago, they would probably blow up. Do I think if you were to put them in like smaller areas, like where I live, where Phil lives, would they thrive? Maybe for a while.
Maybe,
They'd be the hot new thing,
maybe.
but I don't think they would be as profitable as Blockbuster was, or as Arcade Video was, or like any of the Great American Videos of years past. I
Yeah,
just don't
I
see that.
think the one thing that so Hey Archer talks about this a lot. Like with our people going to the theaters. A lot of people don't want to go to theaters. You see the box office nowadays and it's trash. It's garbage. It's nothing like it used to be. So what you said, Dre, is exactly right. If you put a video store like that in New York where people don't really want to go to the theater a lot, or you put it in, I think even if you put it in my area, my theaters aren't super crowded. I think they'd go for that. Things are a little more simpler in Oklahoma, and I think people would go for that. But I think you need to really cater it to the right type of people. Cater it to the 80s kids. Cater it to the early 90s kids. If you cater it to this new generation, I don't think it's gonna hit, you know.
Yeah, it's the nostalgia. Like,
Yeah.
like I'll give you an example. Lana made a comment to me and Meredith the other day while we were having dinner with my mother-in-law. She was like, "I like Stranger Things, but I don't get it." And I said, "It's not for you to get." I said, "Stranger Things is made for people like your mom and me because we grew up in the 80s. So the show is a teen drama for you, but it's meant to appeal to me and your mom."
Yep.
And she was like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, it's meant in the regards of it being a nostalgia for us. We grew up where there were video stores. You rode your bike outside. You played. You stood in your friends' basements. You had pizza. You had dinner at your friends' houses. You called on the phone. You know, there's nothing of like, oh, shoot me a text or email me or hit me up on this. It was always you go out to the friend's house and yell at their window and see if they were home.
Right.
I said there's so many things that you don't get that your mom and I could watch the show and we start laughing because we remember being kids doing that. And it's like you just said, it'll appeal to our generation.
Yes.
Maybe even our parents' generation because video
probably
games
so.
were relatively still common and new even for them when Betamax and VHS were still relatively new. We were in the VHS, DVD, CD before Blu-ray.
Right.
So, and these kids went from Blu-ray to digital. Like, so, what's next? Who knows? But I will say this. I wanted to just kind of drop this because it's a little bit of an interesting thing because Colin and I talked about this. We're still working on it. Dave's actually designing a video for it. So shout out to Dave. It's going to be on my channel here. Colin and I are going to be doing a show called Father Figures. It was something I've been wanting to do for a couple of years now. I've been tinkering with the idea, and Colin was like, "Dude, I love the idea. We're going to talk toys, but not for us. It's for our kids." It's a channel about dads being collectors. Moms will, if a mom wants to come on the show, you're more than welcome to. But it's about being a parent collector and experiencing that with your kids, talking about trends in their toys, not in our stuff, seeing how they're appealing to the younger. And Colin and I were talking about this. There are trends because Rory there's a trend. I see in my own kid at 3 to get her as a collector up to my 18-year-old son, down to my 14-year-old daughter. I see the trend, and he sees it with Elias. So we're working on figuring out a day to record, but that's going to be something we're working on. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm going to invite dads onto the show, moms onto the show. So you definitely keep your ear to the ground for that one because I'd love to bring you on because I know that it's a perspective that is very different than the collector. The mindset you and I have to toy hunt is radically different than what our kids would look at.
Definitely.
And
you sign me up. You just tell me when, man. I'm there. You sign me up for that. Absolutely.
I love it. And then obviously you guys know I've been doing the Retro Rewind series, which is just kind of me talking about the older stuff. But I kid you not, folks, there is a box that my wife got mad at me because I got rid of a lot of stuff, but some more shit came in. And I have to review it. So be ready to be seeing some reviews. It's going to be dumped on Wednesday still. And then obviously, my brother from another who's in here, Dave, who's my mod with the most. He's going to be, this Wednesday we're off today. But next week we're coming back and we're doing the best movies for this year we see coming down the pipe. We have several movies we were talking about. And then we're doing we're planning our big Oscar party that we're going to be doing. So, definitely stay tuned to that. And I want to just kind of address 2 last comments here. T3 says bigger cities are more fast-paced lifestyle. It depends. Charlotte is a big city as they can say Charlotte is. It's not fast-paced. But I can see like New York, Houston, Miami, Orlando, yes. With streaming services getting more expensive, maybe a video rental store. Amazon
that's a
just
great
raised their
point.
prices $2.99.
Yeah, just to cut out ads. That's a great point because now they're starting to do that. They're starting to keep pushing and keep pushing. People are going to get pissed one day and say no. So no, that's a great point. Carlos, absolutely right on.
And Dave brings up an equally great point to right there. It's like you guys both bringing it up. It's like, so you get streaming services to raise their prices, but then physical media goes
it's just
harder and harder to come by because now Target doesn't carry it and Walmart doesn't carry it. Best Buy doesn't carry it anymore.
Right. And prices go up.
Prices are going to spike.
Yep.
Think about it. Boost steel cases used to be expensive for $25. Now, a steel case will cost you maybe almost $50.
True. I got one question for you, Dre.
Go ahead. Hit me.
What did you think of The Rock's return on Monday night?
Oh, my God.
You knew we had to talk about some wrestling here.
I got two wrestling things before we even go. There's two wrestling things I want to address.
All right.
Big one with The Rock's return. I loved that Jinder Mahal came out.
Dude, he did great. I thought that was one of Jinder's best segments ever.
Granted, I don't like where he's at in the company. But I love the way The Rock came out. And, I mean, a lot of people tore him up saying that, he cut the promo the way he cut the promo. It was cookie cutter. It was freaking hilarious.
It was fantastic.
This side's going to say, and this side's going to say, and they were just like, it was priceless. I will say this. We've heard the rumors for the last 6 months that we were gearing up to get, before Punk was even a thought, to get Roman and The Rock to get the head of the table, to basically solidify Roman as the head of the table.
Yes.
That you had to have this match. It was supposed to happen 2 years ago. It didn't happen last year. It's happening this year.
It's happening.
And I think it's going to be awesome. I think The Rock, I don't think The Rock can go. You could see his mass is definitely dropped from what he used to look like. Yeah, totally. So I don't see him doing like a full-on 45-minute match with Roman.
It'll be quick. We're looking like 15-20 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it being like it'll main event.
Oh, definitely.
The longest thing will be the entrances. It's going to be like that Goldberg match with against Kevin Owens, where it was like 20 minutes of Goldberg. Yes. Oh, no, Brock Lesnar. Sorry. It was Brock Lesnar. Took 20 minutes to get to the ring. Owens was already in the ring. The minute the bell rang, F5, 1, 2, 3.
Done. Yeah.
It was like, so I got 20 minutes of like Mike Tyson. It's some Tyson fight. 20 minutes of entrances and then 5 seconds of wrestling.
Yep.
But that's the one. I will ask you this. What did you think about the lackluster, and this is regarding AEW. Mind you, I'm going to be at Collision on Saturday. I'm going to be at Collision. That's my Christmas gift from my friend.
Nice.
So what did you think of the reaction to the devil we already knew, who was Adam Cole? And Joe is now the new AEW World Champion.
So I'm happy for Joe. Joe's been needing that for a while. I wanted to see Joe get it back when he was in WWE. I wanted to see him beat Lesnar. So I'm happy for Joe. I'm glad that Joe's got it. Give him a good run. Give it to him 6 months a year, whatever. That's fine. The devil thing was stupid, I thought. I mean, you knew it was going to be Cole. Come on. I mean, that's like big
Wardlow was a swerve. I didn't expect
Wardlow was a bit of a swerve. Yeah. But Roderick Strong, that's no swerve. Yeah, wherever Cole goes, Roderick Strong goes. That's just the way it is, right? But I think the bigger part of that is, where does MJF go? Because he's off the roster now. They took him off online.
So that's a work.
Oh, is that a work? Okay, all right.
Right now, the only person leaving the company is Andrade, because he was in CMLL wrestling his last show for them, and then supposedly at the Rumble, we're getting him to come back because obviously his wife's in the company. Let's be real.
Well, yeah. Well, that's
there. You're not.
That's kind of a.
He ain't going nowhere. She just signed another 7-year deal with them.
Yeah, that's obvious. But I mean, honestly, it feels like AEW's lost a lot of star power lately, and WWE's gotten a hell of a lot of star power, and it's like. Punk, Orton's back, Rock is back.
The Rock.
I mean, that right there. Just those three are huge.
And right now, what do you think of the setup for what we're looking at for Mania this year? Like having the 2 nights being Punk going to headline, one night.
Beautiful main events.
Cody.
Beautiful main events. That's what you want. I'm not the biggest Punk fan. I'll be honest with you. I know, but I'm not the biggest Punk fan. I think Punk's kind of a punk, right?
He's
But
overrated. No, he's overrated. I'll admit that.
he
He's overrated.
puts asses in the seats. And to put him with Rollins, you know the history, phenomenal. Night 1, excellent main event. Night 2, Rock, Roman. The problem is Cody. What do you do with Cody?
Well, here's an interesting thing I've heard. So Rock Roman is supposed to be headlining Mania. What they're saying is Elimination Chamber, since it's overseas, there's a chance that Cody may not get his Mania moment against Roman, that he may get it at Elimination Chamber, winning the belt there, but then they'll give Gunther the Mania match against Cody, which I would love.
Well,
to see that.
But they were supposed to do Brock versus Gunther, I thought.
No, Brock's not coming back this year.
Brock's not coming back. Okay. Well, then if not, Brock's not coming back. Cody Gunther's good.
I think
but that feels a lot like what they did with Sami Zayn last year, man. That feels a lot like what they did with him. Now, if he wins it, it's totally different. But again, you got to make a decision here. We've talked about this before too. WWE has a really bad habit of not being able to get over the past and not building up their.
No more. We got Trips. Trips is now running.
True, but
we got rid of Kevin Dunn.
Cody came back to be the face, did he not? Didn't Cody come back to be the face?
Cody, okay. So for all that don't like wrestling, y'all can tune out. This is I love wrestling. I love wrestling. So this is the shit I talk about, and I'm real. Cody did come back to be the face, and I do love it. My daughter Rory, she laughs because every time Cody comes out, she'll sing. She'll go, "Whoa!" Mm-hmm. We love the music. Cody, I've met Cody. I've actually gotten to shake hands with him, have a conversation.
Cody's a good guy.
He's a damn good dude.
Yep.
Solid, salt of the earth dude. Shook my nephew's hand, shook my sister's hand, took a picture with me, talked to me for 10, 15 minutes, and I got to hold the ROH World Championship.
Nice.
So for those of you that don't understand my personal feelings towards Cody, I've met him personally. No. As for like people like I've met Nick and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks, they're assholes. They are. I love them, but they're assholes. And where they're at now in the company, that's why they're home.
Shows you. Yeah.
Why do I feel bad for Kenny? Hell yes, I do. Having an illness like my uncle has, diverticulitis, now he's out. Who knows if he's coming back?
Yeah.
Jericho is now looking to sue Nick Hausman because of the whole Kylie Lee Ray sexual misconduct thing. If y'all don't know, Jericho supposedly tried to Weinstein a young lady, and that did not go over so well. And the video footage came out. Supposedly, Nick Hausman, who's of House of Wrestling, reported it, and now it's like lies, supposedly. And Jericho's now like looking to sue because if you didn't watch the pay-per-view, Darby Allin, I posted this in our group chat. Darby Allin, when he came out to his entrance, said, "Go the F home" to Jericho, right? He screamed that from the entrance way while his music's playing. You literally see him go the fuck home. And then I was like, okay. I didn't know what that was. And then during the match, the crowd, obviously it's a New York crowd, they started chanting NDA for non-disclosure agreements that they signed because Tony Khan's notorious for keeping everybody quiet. And Sting tried to get everybody quiet by pounding on his chest, and Jericho starts pounding on his chest. And if everybody didn't know, all the boos were for Jericho whenever he would do, because he's a face, he's supposed to be a good guy. But when Hobbs is beating his ass, everybody starts cheering because, this is the news. Is it right? Is it wrong? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
hot take T3, you're wrong. The Rock will not be the head of the table. As much as I love.
No, that's another ploy to make Roman this invincible, Hulk Hogan-esque superstar that can never be beat.
He's never going to touch the Bruno Sammartino record.
No. But Hulk, he can. Hulk, he's very close to. He's only a few hundred days away from it.
Yeah, he's close. He's closed in because they've said they wanted to reset the record books. That was their big thing.
Yes.
And they've done it. We've gotten rid of Honky Tonk's record because I mean
Yes.
Honky Tonk. No offense, Honky Tonk was not a wrestler. He sucked. You know, you beat. He hasn't beaten the Bob Backlund or Bruno Sammartino, but he's beaten out like Pedro Morales. He's beaten out, you know, Punk's old record because Punk had the longest. For the longest time, people didn't talk. You couldn't say it when he was in AEW, but Punk was at 394 days WWE champion. Roman is now creeping at the Hulk Hogan, which if they can beat Hogan's record, that would be resetting every record book because Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Asuka, Rollins, Punk, Roman, Gunther, the New Day, the Usos. They're the current champions that have held the belt.
He's the last one.
Rhea Ripley, I think, is probably going to be the one that'll beat out Lita and Trish Stratus.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I don't think she'll beat out Flair and Becky. She might because she's just that she's in a niche all her own. But that's because we don't have Bayley in the picture like they should, or Io's not being pushed. There's so many things that there's so many irons in the fire. I think Swerve personally should be the number one guy to go after Joe. I mean, he's a heel, big time heel, but he is so over right now. I mean, that Prince Nana dance, I laugh when I see him when he's like, I'm like, why is that a thing? It's a thing. And I can't wait till Saturday to see it. I also did get my boy got us tickets to go to Sting's last match.
Nice.
So for folks, if you didn't know, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Greensboro is about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from where I live. Sting's last match is going to be in an arena that he had a match against Flair. I'm going to watch that retirement match this year. I already took off of work for it. I was like, I work that Sunday. No, I don't. I'm off. My wife, I told her, I said, babe, take off Monday. I'm not going to be back till about 2 a.m. She's like, why? I said, Sting's last match. This is like, there's not many times in my life I've ever seen a person retire. I've seen Eddie Guerrero wrestle. I've seen RVD wrestle. I've seen Undertaker wrestle. I've seen Bray Wyatt. May he rest in peace. I've seen Brody Lee. May he rest in peace. I've seen a lot of guys come and go. Sting has been like that one guy I've met years ago, but now to see him retire in my state where I live, I am super over the moon for this. Like, I think that's going to be, I don't know who his last match is going to be. I mean, it felt like Flair, but Flair's too old, and please don't.
No, don't do that to that old man. Don't do that to that old man.
Don't do it to me, because I will leave. I'm not going to.
You want it to be a halfway decent match? That would just be, beating on.
I feel like Darby. Honestly, I feel like Darby should be his last match.
That would make the most sense because they've been tied together for so long. That would make the most sense. So,
Darby, you put Darby in there and be like mentor versus student as the final battle. Like, you must take the pebble from my hand, and then you can be the new Sting. Because let's be real, Darby hasn't done shit.
No,
I know he's been injured.
Sting's been carrying him the whole time, man.
But Sting is, get the backpack. I mean, it's Boots and Dora. It's like Ricky Starks right now. I mean, that dude is on fire, and they need to do more with him. Why are you stuck him with Big Bill? I mean, no offense. I'm a North Carolina guy here. I'm a New Yorker in my heart, but I'm a North Carolinian. FTR should be the tag champs. They're in my state. I love FTR. Why they're not tag champs is, why? Because they were Punk guys.
It's true.
It's true. They were Punk guys. Folks, if you didn't realize that, FTR and CM Punk were like this. And when Punk left, FTR, their stock went down. Look at the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed, probably one of the best young tag teams you got in the company. And what happened to them? You strap them to Billy Gunn. You give them the trios belts. What the hell happens next? Nothing. They haven't been on the pay-per-view. They haven't been on any pay-per-views. They've been wrestling matches on Collision. Now, I love the Acclaim because they're funny. Yeah, and I know Bowens is LGBTQ+, So they're trying, it's a whole thing for that. But I don't care about that. I like the team. Put them on TV. Ricky Starks, the guy is fucking dynamite. Swerve. If I was them, don't let me book. Ricky Starks, Swerve, Big Bill as a faction. As a faction. And you let them run. You let Swerve become heavyweight champ. You let the TNT title kind of sit with, I don't know why it sits on Christian's shoulder, then went to Edge, then went back to Christian. It's almost like you have a belt that you don't want. You just called the generic, the old school title. Here, you used to wrestle for WWE. Here's a belt.
Take that. That'll.
Not Wardlow, not Sammy Guevara, not any of the talent that you actually home built, and bred. Let's Eddie Kingston, love him to death. Granted, he reminds me a lot like myself. Glad that he's the Triple Crown champion. Is that going to do anything?
No.
I
gotta run, man. I
know we can keep going, but hey, you always listen. Any Wednesday you want to come on, Phil, you're always welcome.
Absolutely, man. So, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
No problem, brother. Thank you.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
Guys. Later.
What is this, folks? Am I seeing correctly? I see money being donated. How do you donate money to each other? You guys can donate money to each other. That's cool. If you guys are donating money to me, I didn't know I could be monetized like that. That'd be cool. I didn't know I was available to get a super chat. I didn't think that was a thing. But if I did, if you guys did, I love Dave. Do you smell what the Rock is cooking? But hey, Legacy of Nerd, I just talked about you. Let me see. Man, I went over my time. I was supposed to sit here and I ended up talking about wrestling. So I am going to run to the comic book shop. I have to go drop some figures off that I was going to be trading in. I do plan to do a video probably Saturday. I don't know yet. Because Saturday I'll be at Collision at 6:45 in the evening, Eastern Standard Time. So I'll be posting to social media from Bojangles Arena. It's only like 30 minutes from my house. I'm looking very forward to it. I might be taking my daughters in February to Spectrum, which is about 45 minutes from my house, to go see WWE for SmackDown. I haven't decided yet if I want to buy tickets. My daughter wants to go, and the youngest one likes wrestling, so we may go. But that's something I'll wait and see. Thank you guys for all coming in and enjoying my first time back in the new year. It's a lot of fun to do these afternoon chats. I love this the ability to just sit and bullshit with you guys. If you guys are if you guys are interested in coming on in the afternoon and you have time on a Wednesday, it's 12 noon till about 1. We might go over a little bit. Like I said, Phil started talking wrestling, and that's what happens. If you guys are interested and want to talk, let me know. We schedule it at least a week in advance. Like I said, it's completely informal. We just talk whatever it is, and we talk about projects you're going to be working on. So I just want to say thank you guys. You guys are all freaking awesome. I really appreciate everything you guys do. It means the world to me. It means the world to our channels. Definitely, like I said, we are off from the Outer Dimension podcast tonight. But Dave and I will be back next week on the 10th, live at 7 p.m. So definitely check us out. Excuse me. And yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles. I love you guys. Feel free to make sure, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. Hit that thumbs up, and be checking us out for a lot of the future projects we have coming down the pipe. And again, if you have not checked out Yukon Phil's channel, definitely check him out. Great dude. Like I said, a very long-time friend of mine. Awesome person. And yeah, I'm going to head out to the shop. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Stay geeky, y'all. Peace.